Hey guys, Liana here, and Momo. Yes, it's been a while since Momo's been in a video in the flesh. Yes, and Momo is love, so we need lots of Momo. Yes, here he goes. Here Momo goes, wanting to be held like a baby. And yes, I'm doing a video talking to camera. Oh my god! What? I know, right? But I thought this particular one, considering the subject matter, made sense. Also, I just shot a couple more episodes of my cosplay show, Agents of Cosplay, premiering on The Escapist July 14th. And I haven't been pimping that enough, so July 14th, everybody watch. But also, TV friendly makeup takes a really long time to do, and I don't like doing it. And so I like to get as much mileage out of it as I can. Mileage. I can get that word right. Right, Mama? Yeah. So it is Feedback Friday. Yes, it is. And that means I'm responding to feedback. And I want to do it a little differently this week because I can get stuck in a cycle of, you know, fighting with culture warriors over and over and over again till the cows come home. And it doesn't do any good. If someone, and of course I'm talking about the video where I talked about the wage gap in FIFA, that women make 96.8% less, the pay gap is 96.8% people. It's not 1.4% as some people tried to claim, 98.6%. Did I just say 96.8? It doesn't matter. It big. It is an ocean of a pay gap. And I am not going to address the people who fought me on my idea that that is wrong. Because first of all, the people that are doing that are defending an organization we all know is corrupt to begin with. I mean, I'm surprised FIFA still has so many defenders because good Lord, you know, they can afford to bribe governments but not pay women players a living wage. Yeah, that's logical. And there's no point in trying to debate with someone who tries to throw the reverse pay gap of professional modeling where women make significantly more than men, because professional sport is about health and teamwork and positive values, and professional modeling is about an unhealthy beauty standard that only 8 women in the world at any given time can really achieve. You have to be a freak of nature to be a professional model, and people make themselves sick trying to match that ideal. So throwing modeling out there as a debunk of a sports pay gap is not just absurd, it's heartless. And this shows how far we need to go in really educating people about these issues and about gender and about what gender means and the beauty myth and, you know, all these myths. It's all about myths. It's not about what's reality. It's not about what is real for men. It's not about what's real for women. It's about the myths we tell each other about gender. Like, oh, women are just naturally not interested in computers. People say that to me. I'm living proof it's not true. Okay, can we leave it there? So I'm not talking to you people. If you got stupid and started accusing me of wanting freaking David Beckham to be played the same as a women's football player, as Hope Solo. No, I'm not saying that, folks. In a negotiated contract, there is no equity. What I'm talking about is the rank and file players who are not stars. And even the gap among them who are, let's face it, essentially doing the same job. And the male athletes aren't necessarily bringing in, the rank and file aren't necessarily bringing in 98% more people than a female athlete. No, it's the stars that bring people in. We're not talking about a ceiling when we talk about pay equity, okay? We're talking about a floor. The basic, the base pay. It should be the same pay for the same work as a base. Merit pay, incentives above that, of course that's not going to be the same. But under the, under the current structure, women, it doesn't matter how good a player you are. You could play with the men and never make enough money. And the fact that I use the anecdote of my relative, who's a damn good hockey player and can't make a decent living at it because she's female. And I'm talking about coaching, not just, playing professionally. Like, she didn't even have that expectation. So I want to address the people that got it, right? You guys out there who either said, yeah, this is wrong, or this is ridiculous, or I had no idea it was so high, or, the one gentleman who was kind enough to say, I looked into this after you talked about it and you changed my mind. You guys are the people I'm going to address today, and I just want to say thank you. I thank you. Momo thanks you. You can see he's a bundle of love. He's very happy, right, Momo? Yes. And I just want to thank you guys. Thank you for getting it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for having an open mind and not just having a knee-jerk culture warrior objection to anything that suggests that we could be doing better in terms of equality. The idea that we have no work to do with equality is crazy. And soccer, or football, the more correct term, isn't just a Western thing. And a lot of people were saying, oh, it's not as popular in North America as the rest of the world. And in the rest of the world, people, it's all the boys want to play soccer and none of the girls do. Well, that could say something about the cultural attitudes writ large of those various societies. And there is absolutely work to do regarding, gender, or, Malala wouldn't be a household name over here. We do have work to do. We do have work to do here with single mothers getting access to the services and training they need, with, men not being able to enter certain careers that they have an affinity for, for fear of ridicule. We do have work to do. And so I'm very glad that some people took the time to say, I get what you're saying here with this, because that's where it begins, right? All this stuff may seem like crazy, radical, and even, unhealthy ideas now. That's what happened with women's voting as well, and it's just something to me where I want to be able to tell my relatives in future that a female athlete is equal to a male athlete, not the top stars. Because, okay, if you're that good, then go be that good, but not the top stars. The regular players. A female hockey player should be the same as a male hockey player. Rank and file, not the stars that bring people into the games, themselves alone. A female baseball player should be the same as a male baseball player if they're doing the same job, right? We look at tennis where they actually have, it's a poster child for pay equity in sports, because once they started promoting the women, all of a sudden, wow, people wanted to see women play tennis. They started getting the endorsement deals and people started coming to see the female game. I had a conversation with my hairstylist, of all people, this very nice man named Paul up at Salon Passion. Oh, plug for Salon Passion. Yay. Thank you, Paul, for making me accidentally look like Bryce Dallas Howard. But he was saying that he actually prefers women's tennis because women's tennis now is like men's tennis in the 1980s, because now the serves are getting so aggressive in men's tennis that it's just ace after ace after ace. There's no rallies. And he says with the women, there's back and forth. And I have Momo fur in my nose. And, here's a guy who, he's originally from Hong Kong. So you can't say, oh, that's a Western attitude, right? No, he's from the East. That's the definition of the East. So, it does happen and things do change. And just because something is what we consider normal doesn't mean it's natural. And this is the point I've been trying to make, because I know myself, I didn't go into things like engineering or computer science as for school. And the reasons for these things are not simple. Part of it was, there was both financial and social discouragement from me. That means I couldn't afford it and people made fun of me for liking computers. But then there was also the lifestyle realities of pursuing computer science and engineering, which is you're on campus extremely late. And that is a consideration when you're a 17-year-old girl looking at schools aware you'd have to be taking public transit at night and not feeling safe doing so. These are all issues that, we have to confront. And sport is almost like the military in that things tend to happen in sports first, right? Because sports are great ambassadors. Athletes are great ambassadors for humanity. And that's why, doping scandals and everything like that are so scandalous, because it's supposed to be about fairness and healthy competition and, doing it the right way. And so I think these are, major milestones that we can do. Let's get those wages up with women's sport, right? With women's soccer. Let's start there, because I think everybody can agree that a full-time professional athlete should not be making $6,000 a year, right? So I'm really glad that some people got it and not every message was one of these stupid, nonsensical opinions that, if they were worth it, they'd be paid more. That completely misses the reality that there are caps, there are salary caps in FIFA teams, which means even if the owners want to pay these women more, they can't. That's the purpose of a cap. And that is something set by the league. That can change. So if a woman's worth more, she should be able to be paid more. Right now, she can't. So I'm glad some people got it. It makes me want to keep going. When even a few people say, you changed my mind, or I see your point here. Even if I make you think about one thing regarding gender a little differently, I've done my job. I'm not here to create complete consensus. No single person can ever hope to do that. There's too much diversity. What I'm here to do is to try to make people think, really think about their assumptions about these things. Because there are still young women like me who aren't following what, their natural talents may very well be, because those natural talents don't line up with what people assume should be natural for our gender. And therefore, they're not seen as natural talents. They're seen as an unnatural interest. And that's very powerful when people are pushed that way. Strangely enough, it ends up making people feel like they're not good enough to pursue this, because there's always someone better. And of course, in something like computers, when someone has much more access, and I mean, there are people that were building computers themselves when I was a kid, when they were 12, but they had family, not necessarily family encouragement, but their family wasn't taking the parts away from them. Right? If I took something apart to see how it worked, I'd get in trouble. So it's these little things, and I thought I had to be that. I thought I had to know how to build a computer to go into computer science. I thought I was not good at math, even though I was in enriched math, because the people who did better than me in math classes tended to be boys. And it's amazing that even though I got a ton of encouragement from teachers, I mean, my high school math teacher was one of the most influential people in my life in my teenage years. And you know, he pushed me. He was disappointed I didn't continue in something mathematics based. Now, joke's on me, you know, I ended up in something tech and statistics based. So he won out in the long run. But that's what we need to do. You know, if nobody else believes in you, it's very, very hard when you're learning to be you as a kid to believe in yourself. And people say, oh, everybody's been told they couldn't do it, they pushed through. That's really not true. That's a myth. That's a myth. People who succeed, there's someone, a wife, a parent, a mentor. That's why they're called mentors. There's someone who helped them believe they could do it. This idea that, oh, everybody told them they were crazy. It's marketing, guys. It's marketing. Somewhere along the line, someone planted the seed in that person that made them feel like, yes, they could do it. That does not come from nowhere. Okay? It doesn't. No matter what you believe, it's a myth. And the funny thing is that the people that say, oh, you have to be happy anyway, or you have to do it anyway, are precisely the ones who 2 or 3 days earlier were telling me, you can't handle criticism, you don't address valid criticism, etc., etc. Well, guys, which is it? Is it have everybody tell you you're wrong and keep doing it anyway? Or is it learn to handle valid criticism? Because at this point, I'm tuning out your you can't handle criticism. Do you have any idea how ridiculous that is? I mean, I'm just saying this for the people that I am talking to, the supportive people. Supportive people, I mean, let's just have a laugh about how absurd the concept is that someone who does, you know, a YouTube video every weekday can't handle criticism. See, Momo's like, nope. It's silly. It's a silly concept. Silly concept that I would keep doing this day after day after day and getting haters day after day after day and having to hear people when I take a business call or try to do any other project say, you have a lot of haters and I don't get it. Day after day after day. And yet these little twerps on the internet still have the gall to say, I can't handle criticism. That's what I think of that criticism. All right, so back to talking to the people that support and get it and want to learn. And those people who want to learn but don't feel like they know how, or don't feel like they know what questions to ask, or feel like I'm a guy, this isn't my place, this isn't my place to have an opinion. I want to talk to you right now, okay? Your opinions are important because they're the counterbalance to the potential for people to overshoot when we're aiming for parity. You know, like that when you do that turbo start in a racing game or a kart game, you know, you do that perfect start and it goes, and you hit a turbo and all of a sudden you're careening wildly and you can't quite control it. It's like, whoa, no brake, no brake, no brake, and you hit a wall. Social movements can do that too. And it's important to obviously respectfully and politely say, well, wait, what about this? You know, that's the give and take that makes us find the happy medium. So I don't think that people should refrain from voicing their opinions in an adult way. I mean, I don't even like the term feminist ally, quite frankly, personally. You're either a feminist, you believe in the equality of the sexes, or you don't. You know, you're not an ally, you're a feminist. And this feminist ally thing where only women can be feminists, implying that only women can benefit from feminism, is, I think, a toxic element of the third wave. And there's a growing movement that I think I agree with, to not even call this moment we're in right now, third wave feminism. There's more and more people calling it fourth wave feminism, which is defined by feminist activism that primarily takes place on the internet. So we've got this overlap between, you know, third wave feminists like me who are, you know, dealing with more real world issues and doing it in real terms. I don't like real, not real, because the internet is very real for some people, but you know, we'll go out and talk to schools, or we'll create a body of work that is informed by our principles instead of being, you know, what the Tumblrinas who everything's under an anonymous name online, or it's, you know, activism by harassment campaign. Yeah, that's a thing. And, you know, that more and more people are calling fourth wave feminism. Do I agree with these people who start hashtags that say kill all men? Do I agree with people who, you know, attack people's Goodread pages because they personally disagree with them, or what they're doing, not what they're intending to do, but the way they're doing it? No, I absolutely categorically do not agree with those tactics. I agree that in their own way, the people that do this mean well, and they think they're making a positive difference. But I'm a little older and a little wiser, and I've, you know, I don't want to get into biography here, but I really think sometimes the only thing that makes me different than those people is life experience. Things were shitty enough, young enough, that I grew compassion early enough to not become those people. And I think more and more this grow a thicker skin culture of the internet is actually cultivating these activism by harassment types, you know, and then that pollutes people's opinions of, you know, things like slut walk, which were started from a very, very real place. For people who don't know, slut walk was started right here in Toronto when a policeman or police spokesman basically told women to prevent rape by not dressing like sluts at a university campus. And that's where it came from, the idea that it was victim blaming by a police officer. So slut walk started as a reminder that no, it shouldn't matter how you dress. And the loss of message is very real if people who, when you inform them of that opinion, agree with that, but then they come back with, yeah, but most of the people who aren't there for that reason. They're there because muffiels, or they're there because patriarchy. And those are difficult because you can only push so far so fast with people. And what I'm trying to do, and I just want to remind everybody with this because it is getting lost, what I'm trying to do is incremental here. I'm throwing these ideas out there on my YouTube channel. And I only do them on Tuesdays because I can't possibly deal with these issues every single day of my life. They're too depressing.